So, we did cover probably too much information last week, but it had to be covered, and it still seems like a lot of you, at least in your discussions, were able to take in certain things, and that's good. So I've touched a little bit here in the past in Western Civ on Beowulf and the Viking Rus and Russia and all of that. And then this week we're really talking a lot about Germanic tribes and then Vikings, very much focus on. And I happen to have a strong love of this topic in particular. And I've developed this a little bit more over the last few years. So I hope you actually enjoy this, and the information that you're going to get out of even the last set of lectures that I do specifically on Vikings will really get you ahead of the game in terms of having a concrete idea about where we get information on the Vikings. And so, yeah, I mean, this is a super important, interesting topic for me. I mean, my focus was on Asia and the Islamic world, but I have a deep interest in Scandinavian history. My own heritage is very strongly Germanic and Scandinavian, but like all, Americans of European backgrounds, I have a lot of European backgrounds, Scottish and English and French and a few others in there. But the bottom line is I find it very interesting. One of the things that I'll kind of show you maybe in some videos later in this class that has been problematic is that the strong interest in Celtic, but more specifically Germanic and Norse history, is really taking root among white nationalists and white nationalism in general, and it's become very politicized. And that's just something that you should take note of. It's just one of those kind of situations. I mean, when it comes throughout history, what particular type of interests are going to be attached to a particular group's political ideology is always sometimes it's predictable and sometimes not. What the root of it is really, in fact, is that white nationalists are sort of looking to what they even term indigenous European culture, and seeing, that, as we've already learned, that Roman Catholicism, really coming out of Italy, what is now Italy, is a foreign religion on much of the world in terms of it having a religion coming from one place and going and spreading across to another. And so with that legacy, if you think about it, what's interesting for Europeans, we learned mainly about, if you grow up Christian, you are learning about Mediterranean, Middle Eastern culture. My name, like many of your other names, are actually Hebrew, derived from the Bible, right? So my name is Joshua, okay? And then the other thing that happens in the Renaissance, of course, there's interest in more Greek and Roman mythology. Now, for white nationalists, that's okay because those are at least Indo-European people, so they see that as more true to the heritage of the mythic past of the Indo-European heritage of our ancestors. But what's interesting is that for centuries you really didn't have a lot of discussion about the indigenous religions of Germanic peoples and Celtic peoples in the way that you're seeing now. I mean, we've had pockets of it, and that might not be totally precise to what I'm saying, but ultimately Thor and Odin and discussions of those gods, they didn't spread out through European culture and the way that the Greeks and the Roman mythologies have sprung. In high school, even to this day, many of you learn about Greek and Roman mythology and not Norse mythology, even though ancestrally, for many of a European background, Thor would be the closer thing. And so due to this, many white nationalists kind of talk about this being like the original white religion, you know. But for a lot of people who actually there are modern practicers of Norse mythology and following Germanic religions that are not into the concept of race as being important to them, to be racist. So it's a tricky world we live in right now, where, well, maybe it's always been. You know, you look at history and how we analyze and put these things together and what we think that they should translate to now into how we treat each other. You know, all bets are off, as they say, when it comes to how this is all going to get formulated and brought into being. So I just thought I'd make you, aware of that, how this important culture and influence of the West is also being reinterpreted and brought into modern political discourse in very controversial and complex ways, which again, I'll probably just show you some articles and some YouTube stuff later throughout the week, okay? So I wish you all a very good week. Be in contact with me if you need anything.